Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. Today, we have a very special guest. And you have a special program because what we're doing today for the Facebook group is we are pre-recording this podcast and this interview so that you're going to hear about all this before anyone else in the world gets to hear about. And I'm going to be introducing our special guest, Mimi, in just a second. But first, just in case we haven't met before, I'm Kelly Howard. I am the fitness consistency expert with a touch of adventure. And I thank you all so much for being here today. And I am getting ready to introduce you to my new best friend that I just connected with. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for being here today. And I really appreciate it. I have a special guest for you whose bio reads like oh my gosh, this woman has done everything in the world that's super cool, and you're just gonna really love her, and you just cannot wait to meet her. I was so fortunate to actually just literally stumble upon her on the internet, right? That's why the internet's so awesome. And her story and my story, they're not the same. They run in parallel lines. But I was so excited when I reached out to her and she reached right back and said, yeah, let's talk. Mimi, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm thrilled to connect with you, Kelly. It's so exciting. We have so much in common.
Yeah, I know. It's so,
Health, fitness, helping other women. It's just fantastic.
it really is. It really is. And before I dive in, because I have a tendency to dive in and forget, please introduce yourself, tell everybody what you do, because you've done so many amazing things. I can't even begin to go through it all. So
It's funny because all we think about is what we haven't done. It's
Right.
like, what haven't I done? What's on my agenda now?
Great.
I am a family nurse practitioner. I've specialized in women's health my entire career. I've been a nurse practitioner since I was 22, so 45 years. I've worked in all different settings, but I always loved women's health. And I had a bit of an awakening about 10 years ago when I decided in a crazy moment to go back to school at age 59 to earn my doctoral degree as a nurse practitioner. I call it a crazy moment because my other buddies were kind of getting ready for retirement and I'm ramping up to go back and earn a doctoral degree. It's like, woo. So what I found is that within the first semester, I was so anxious. I was crashing and burning, eating junk food, staying awake late at night. My daughter happened to be home at the time. And she said, Mom, what are you doing? You're not even a healthy role model. You're just a hypocrite. And it just hit me like a stake in the heart. I was like, this hurts. I've been found out and I'm just a fraud. But then she said, I can help you. I said, well, check in 2 years because I'm busy for the next 2 years. But
Right.
she wouldn't let me. She just started passing me water, drink the water. Here, Mom, we're going to the gym. I'd say, I have no time. You can read your paper in the car. It went like that for 2 years. When I graduated, I'd lost 30 pounds, literally 12 inches from my waist. I had like this whole thing going on. And I had learned to lift weights. My career-long back pain had gone away. I was like a new woman. And I was doing better in my doctoral program. I was like the top student. I was the oldest and the top student. So I'm like, we're on to something here. So for about 8 years now, she and I have been helping women online through virtual health programs that we offer, often involved in weight loss. And we just have the best time. I teach all over the country, mostly nurse practitioners, but I do a lot of consumer programs as well. And now I have something to offer women. And what I believe I really offer is hope that we can always get healthier and more fit at any age, whether you're 90 years old, 50 years old, 30 years old, you can always improve your health. And that's really my passion now.
Yeah. That's so interesting you say that because for years people said, so what are you about? And I went, oh, hope and possibilities.
Exactly.
Right?
Hope.
Like, because
Right.
it's so easy. And I've been there too. I crashed and burned a little bit earlier than you, but I did the same thing to a large degree, too much work. Um,
Yep.
you know, fake, like, right? I was a fraud because
Fake it.
I'm
Yeah.
running this active outdoor adventure business, and during the week I'm just working my off, and then I'm caring for people, and I crashed. And so I know it's so true.
And that's what
So
women do. Women, we meet
you're
everyone
right.
else's needs. And then we're like, oh God, how did I gain that weight? Why am I crashing and burning? Well, we have to learn self-care. We have to learn
Yeah.
it.
Okay, let's start with self-care because self-care is that when people say self-care to me, I hate to say it, my eyes roll. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my God,
exactly. You're
not
like, "Bleh."
self-care again.
Right.
But
Well, here's some
I
right
was going
here.
to say self-care is everything. It's drinking your water.
It is everything. It's how
It's
you
making good
think mentally.
choices. Yeah.
Exactly. You cannot be a self-care expert and taking care of yourself if you're negatively bullying yourself. I actually believe mindset is probably the most important piece of reconstructing your life.
Okay, let me just stop you for just a second. All right, guys, we did not get together and pre-record this
Yeah,
program
we
before we're
haven't had
recording
any
it. We've never
conversations.
talked about this before, but I do. Like, right? Mindset is it. If
It
you
is.
start in the head
Yes.
and everything else follows. So tell
Right.
me how you
Right.
go about getting mindset right for people.
So I'm very consciously aware now of what I'm thinking. So that's the one thing we have control over, our thinking. And I help clients I work with appreciate that. We do not have to be the victim of our circumstances. We can find blessings in the most chaotic situation. And we can learn to give ourselves extra self-care when we're extra stressed. So if you don't like the word self-care, you can just think about, well, that's counterintuitive. We don't tend to do that. We give ourselves less and less self-care when we're more and more stressed. That's what we have to learn to stop doing. And
Ah,
that's all related to
yeah,
honoring ourselves and
yeah,
the realization that if we're taking care of ourselves, we're going to feel better. We're going to be more confident. We're going to be more successful, and we're going to be able to help more people, which
right?
ultimately, especially as women, that's what we want to do. Right,
Yeah.
Kelly? We
And
want to help more
we're
people, and we want to have joy in our hearts and
Of
feel good.
course, right? And the people that we care about that are close to us, they're not going to be taking care of us when we're at a certain age because we didn't take care of ourselves. Kind of like what your daughter did for her intervention, which was brilliant,
Wow, that was
right?
intense. And I fought her. I was like, I didn't even have time for the conversation. I literally was angry at her. I was like, leave me alone.
Oh, that's funny. And she's like a serious bodybuilder. You don't want to get on her bad side,
She
right?
is. No, you do not. She'll just bam, take you out. She's broken
Oh,
weightlifting records. So yeah,
oh, that's great. Now wait,
yeah.
so you did too, right? So you
Well,
got
I
into
don't haven't
bodybuilding.
broken any records, but a year after I graduated with my doctoral degree, she dared me. She's like, Mom, why don't you be in a competition? I'm like, seriously? I never even wore a two-piece suit when I was younger. I'm gonna get out in one of these little string bikinis. Are you kidding me? But then I decided, hey, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I can continue to improve my health in a way where I could actually do that. So I took on the dare. And a year later, after my doctoral degree, I was on stage and came in fifth in the over 40 category in my very
Whoa,
first. I was petrified, literally
whoa.
petrified,
I would have been petrified too.
petrified. And then I've
Yeah.
been in four since. The
Oh,
most
wow.
recent was in 2018, and I came in second in the over 50 crowd, even though
Wow.
I was much older.
Right?
I'm always much older.
Right. Yeah, the old trick used to be when I was doing triathlons is, as soon as you changed your age group, sign up because you were going to
Yeah,
be the youngest
exactly. Get
person.
in there as the young one in that. Well, my hat's off to you for doing that. I have a very hard time even walking, let alone jogging or running. So that's why I love bicycling and cycling and canoeing. I know you love some of those activities
Oh
too.
yeah. And I don't run at all anymore. At
All
all.
right. Just
But,
checking on that. But we
I
have to
mean,
do our weight bearing exercise to keep
that's
our
right.
bones healthy. We
That's
have
right.
to.
One way or the other, we have to do it. So,
So you got to suck it up, all of you listeners, and hire a trainer, get in the gym, get over that gym intimidation, learn how to lift weights because it's going to have profound positive benefits on your muscles, your bones, your posture, your joints, you name it. If you don't fall down, you're not going to break anything when you're 90.
right? It's so true.
So
And it's interesting. The latest program that we just brought out, part of it is we brought a personal trainer on staff. And
great,
so
great,
it's
great.
it's virtual,
That's
but
great.
people are seeing so many results and it's so cool. And I mean,
Yes.
results in 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
Yep.
it. I love it. So, all right,
Well,
let's talk about you for a second. Tell us about your new book. Show us a picture. Tell us about
all
your book.
right. So my new book came out about a month ago. It's called Healthy and Fit at Any Age. And here I am at 68 years old. And this is basically a guide to creating nutrition, exercise, and mindset habits for busy people. It says busy women, but men can do it as well. And I break it down into the 4 categories that are most important. Nutrition. I don't like the word diet. It's like die with a T
Yeah.
on the end. Nutrition,
Right.
including water, exercise, better known as movement, because a lot of people get really turned off by the word exercise, think they have to go to the gym for 2 hours. Uh, and mindset, which we touched on, which is critically important. A good chunk of it is about mindset. And the other piece are our surroundings. We need to engineer our surroundings to support our health goals, whether it's home, work, travel. There are no excuses. You can really create whatever you want to create, whether you're on a cruise with 24-hour buffets. You can engineer that experience to be successful. You can actually lose weight on a cruise. So it's all what you want to do and how you want to accomplish it.
Interesting. Okay. So touch on that a little bit more because I don't like when I talk about things, I'll talk when I call environment and tell me if I'm on or off track here. Environment to me could be friends,
Yes,
could be accountability, it
absolutely.
could be like your family, whether they don't support you and how
Yes.
to turn their butt around so that they at least get out of your
Mhm.
way.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. All those external factors. So
okay.
sometimes our friends and family are triggers,
Oh
meaning
yeah.
they egg us
Oh
on
yeah.
to eat foods that we really
Oh
are
God,
really
for
not aligned
sure.
with our health goals. Right. And we're heading into that season. So sometimes friends and loved ones just represent the ways we want to celebrate with food. But it doesn't always have to be that way. You can celebrate in non-food ways. And that's one of the uh, habits that we need to develop related to mindset. How do we celebrate the people during these celebratory times rather than being focused on the food and the experience and all the other pieces of getting together with family and friends?
Right. And I guess maybe that falls into that piece where a lot of times I'll say that you need to find for my group, you need to find the women who aren't just looking to go out and eat, drink, and watch a movie,
Be
but the ones
merry.
who are
Yeah,
right, they're more interested in maybe let's go for a hike and then we can have brunch or
exactly.
right? Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yep. I much prefer to celebrate my friendships with
yeah.
activities and outdoor experiences than meeting at a restaurant and eating. I'm really not, I don't enjoy that as much, but a little healthy gathering after some activity, great idea.
Yeah,
Great
nice,
idea.
nice.
Yep.
So,
It's just so hard because we live in a society that's so focused on food.
oh
It,
yeah, and
it's
a lot of
just
it's bad
ever
food.
present. Yep. And we have a lot of habits that are ingrained. And it's really challenging to change those habits. That's why I'm a huge fan of little micro changes, just little ones that aren't going to, you're hardly going to notice, like drinking more water. Put a
Right.
glass at the kitchen sink and make sure you keep it filled. And maybe you start with a little post-it note next to that glass and you check off every time you empty it and fill it back up. Because we need literally 8 ounces of water every day. We need that. We're mostly liquid. Our brain, 73% of our brain is water. So the next time
Right.
you get tired, think about when was the last time I had a big glass of water? Maybe that's why you're tired.
Isn't it? It's so true. It's and one of my clients she has a tendency to get migraines. Um, she's amazing for starters. She's an amazing woman. She's highly driven. She runs her own business, all of those things. And what she told me recently was she went to actually one of the drip places, which I've never done. Um, but like where you get those IV drips of vitamins or
Oh,
whatever.
wow. Goodness.
And I hadn't done that because I'm a little like weird about needles. But she said it got rid of her headache. And she thinks that part of
Interesting.
it was simply the fact that she was dehydrated,
Absolutely. So
right?
I have a client currently, and when she started working with me, she's an athlete and she works out seriously. And she was only drinking about 4 ounce little juice glasses of
No,
water a day. I'm
no.
serious. And she's fairly young. I'm
And
like,
she's an
woman,
athlete?
no, yeah, no wonder you're dizzy all the time. So one of her first habits when we started working together was just bumping up her water. She feels so much better. Holy cow. She's like, I just didn't know. And as we get older, we do not have that thirst that we had when we were younger
You
to
know,
trigger us to drink. So
that's
gradually, as
interesting.
we get older, we just don't get thirsty. So you have to train yourself. You
You really
literally,
do. You
you
really
have
do.
to train yourself.
I
So,
mean, I watched that with my mom, and my mother was an athlete. She really was.
wow, that's great.
But yeah, no, she was like a fifth degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Whew,
She
wow,
was
don't
still
mess with
teaching
her.
yoga when she had a stroke and fell and broke her hip. But up
Oh,
until that moment, at, I think about 83, she was still teaching yoga. Like she was
wow,
like the goddess, right?
amazing.
But then afterwards, she quit drinking any water. Like I would be,
Wow,
drink water. And she's like, I'm not
right.
thirsty. She was
You know
picking,
what? That's
I'm
just
not
cool.
thirsty.
You
I'm
know what
like,
I say to people that say that? Who cares? Who
right?
cares? I don't care. You need to train yourself to drink water.
Yeah.
Thirst, if you're lucky if you get thirsty, but you're probably not going to get very thirsty as you get older. You need to train yourself in these good habits so that you can live a healthy, happy, long life. You know,
Okay. So
you want to really honor yourself
you
because
do.
it's not
And I
like we
have a
can bring in
question,
another model, right?
right?
After the car wears out, we get another one, but this is it. This is the whole, this is it. This is all we get. And we
Right?
have
This
to
is what we've
figure out a
got.
way to treat it with much more TLC.
Oh, okay. That's a really good point. So let's talk about that for just a second because, and I can tell you in my own life, the thing that changed this week, I've started having some aches and pains, and I don't usually like,
Oh,
I beat myself up. Like that's a given,
yeah,
But aches and pains are not a given in my world. And I started
yeah,
having them, and I went, wait, like I'm not going to fall into the ibuprofen mode. So what am I
right,
going to do?
right.
And I went back to like something I did a million years ago, which was yoga. And I
Great,
started doing,
fantastic.
right? I went back to the whole yoga thing,
Yes.
and I've only been doing it for a week, so like I'm not a yogi. But what I was noticing this morning was when I finished and I was in Savasana, and I was just laying there and she was saying like appreciate your body. I was like, whoa, I really, really am appreciating my body. And that is such a big piece of what we talk about because it's so
Very
hard
big.
in our society, right? We're kind of driven to
We're too
look
thin,
at
we're
how
too
we,
fat, look at my hips, look at my something's, we look at what's wrong with our bodies rather than
yeah,
realizing what a sacred vessel it is. It is
yeah,
just sacred that it can serve us most of the time pretty well.
it really does. And it's very interesting. I mean, I always say we're so resilient. Like
We are.
our bodies
But
just come back, but we got to
if
take
you
care of
do
them.
the right things, like your yoga is probably helping you with flexibility
Mhm.
and range of motion, which is another piece of what a lot of women don't do, and that is regular stretching. So I poo-pooed it most of my life, and then a few years ago, I started having all these different joint problems, and I decided, well, you know what? I'm just gonna start stretching after I work out, and I'm gonna really systematize it. So now, even if I only have 2 minutes, I have a whole system I go through of stretching. Did it this morning, even though I had a short timeline at the gym. And I feel so much better. Back, hips, ankles, knees, all the above.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It is
Oh,
unbelievable, and I'm always telling people that they need to do the mobility work, right? Like warming up the
right,
joints and stuff.
right.
Um, but I did realize that I do a lot of warming up of joints, but I
Yes.
haven't been doing a lot of the stretching of them too.
Ah,
So
it will help
yeah,
you so much. It will, the older we get, the more helpful it is. And
yeah,
all you need to do is just try it twice a week. Get somebody to teach you, like a trainer, and just learn how to do systematic stretching of all of your body parts in a very short period of time. It does not have to take a long time. And then I added meditation a couple years ago
absolutely.
with it. So
Yeah.
when I stretch, I meditate with my breaths. So basically, it's this simple. I say to myself, inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3. If I have the time, I do 3 of those with every stretch movement. If I don't have the time, I do at least one.
Yep.
And that allows me not to think. So I'm basically meditating, right? Because I'm one
Yeah.
of those fancy meditators. I can't just sit there and watch my thoughts for an hour. But I have been able to incorporate this into my stretching. It really has made a difference in how peaceful
It's
and calm I am.
yeah, I mean what you're doing is basically savasana for each move, right?
Awesome.
If you think about it. Yeah.
Paced respirations, basically. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And if you're poo-pooing the idea of stretching, you're listening to this, I recommend, I just beg you to try it and just observe how your body reacts. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, yeah. Our bodies, yeah, they need all that movement.
And
And
you'll get stiffer and stiffer as you get older. Your hips will get stiffer, your back will get stiffer, everything will get stiffer. And then you're less limber and less able to bounce back if you lose your balance. That's really the biggest piece. You want to keep your joint coordination, your flexibility. So if something catches you, a little bit of ice in the driveway, you're able to bounce back and not just fall down and break your hip or your wrist. It's
right.
not inevitable that you have to do that.
Yep.
It's not.
That is so true. That is so true. So
people think it is. They do. They think that's just part of aging. I'm going to break my hip, break my wrist. I'm going to have trouble getting off the floor. No, that is not. That might be what happens if you don't take care of yourself, but it doesn't have to be.
I promise you, my crowd does not believe that anymore. They are
Good.
like getting
Good,
off the
good.
floor, and everybody is talking about like being able to do everything we want to do
Great.
for as long as we possibly can, and then
Exactly.
that's that.
But I guarantee as we get older, you're going to have more issues and more challenges. So if you're baseline healthier, it's going to be easier for you to adapt and cope. Because, for example, our joints, it's easier to injure them. Our muscles, easier to injure them, even if you're doing everything right. I've been lifting weights consistently for 10 years, and I've had issues with every body part. But I overall feel better than I ever did before 10 years ago.
Nice. So, okay, one thing that you talk about, and then I know I've got to respect your time, but let me just ask you this one last question.
Oh, I love this. This is like essence of what makes us tick, right?
Right? It is actually. I know sometimes I tell people, so what you're really going to do is just listen to me having a conversation with someone really cool, and you just happen to be like eavesdropping. But one of the things you do is you work with women on weight loss.
Yes.
And it doesn't happen not everyone needs it, but there is that point where a lot of us went through the whole pandemic situation, and I think that all that stress and just like piled on some extra pounds that we aren't used to.
Yes.
So what are a couple of your top tips for getting someone back into not a diet, right? No diets. We don't do those things.
We don't believe in those.
No, I don't at all. But getting people to a place where they're actually able to maybe take a little bit of that weight off or bring those inches down a smidge. What would you recommend?
So how that happens is it's secondary. It's secondary to reconstructing how we look at ourselves and our life, the mindset work. It's secondary to drinking more water and making healthier choices, picking foods you like and eating more of those among the healthy foods. So the more you think about deprivation when it comes to diets, because we're coming up on January 1st,
okay,
the more you're setting yourself up for failure. Oh, I'm going to start in January. I'm not going to eat cheesecake. I'm not going to eat chips. I'm not going to get together with my friends. No alcohol. You're just setting yourself up for counting the seconds until you can stop the program.
Right.
So I work with women and men too now to help them make choices that they can live with forever. Because the idea is for health optimization over time. So I'm not interested in helping people lose weight temporarily. Not at all. I want patients, I want clients, whoever I'm talking to or working with, to make changes they can live with forever and that are going to be so reinforcing that they want to keep with those healthy habits. They want to because they feel so much better. They look so much better. They have more confidence, more joy. I mean, that's what it's all about. If we can enjoy our lives, we're just going to want to wake up in the morning and have another day.
Yeah.
But if we're miserable and burnt out and picking on ourselves, bullying ourselves, that makes for a miserable life. And a lot of women live their lives that way. We're overwhelmed. We're not feeling good about ourselves. And we have other choices. And I think that's the biggest message that I give to people I work with. You have another way to go. I was miserable most of my life. I looked like I had it all together, but I was essentially miserable because every time I was stressed, I'd crash and burn. It was a horrible way to live. Horrible.
Okay, let me ask you that real quick, because you said that your daughter did this intervention on you when you were 59, which I love, right? So up until that point, were you like, you're a slender woman. Were you always on the slender side?
I was always up and down, Gained 50 pounds when I was pregnant. Essentially gained weight every time I was really stressed. So I was literally up and down all the time. And my thought in my head was, well, I'm going to pick a time to lose weight when things are kind of settled.
Oh,
And then that would work, and I'd lose weight and get healthy. And then the next episode of stress would hit me. I'd do the same thing I always do. So I learned during my doctoral program that the best time to jump in and change your life is when you're most stressed. That is counterintuitive to everything we learn. So
right.
here I am. I don't even have time for the conversation with my daughter. And she's like, Mom, you need to change now, because you may not live 2 more years if you keep that stress level up, because you're not young. I was like, holy cow, that was the first time anybody ever said that to me. So now I know, even when I'm stressed, my mother was sick and, really in dire straits for several years. The most recent couple of years, she passed in the springtime, and it was the most stressful time of my life, even worse than during my doctoral degree. But I stayed on my healthy habits. I made healthy choices. I did not crash and burn. I did not let myself do that. And I had habituated the healthy habits so much that it wasn't that hard.
Good for
And it
you.
was shocking to me.
Yeah,
Absolutely shocking I could do that.
you're right. Because I say this to people and people are like, I get the eye roll. But
Yeah, right. The eye roll.
eating eating healthy or having healthy habits is just as easy as having like the habit of sitting on the couch and, watching TV and eating junk food. It's
Right.
nothing but habits.
That's all it is.
That's
And
all it
habits are
is.
a little tricky in the beginning, but
Yeah.
once you have them established, they operate on their own, on automatic. It's incredible. I mean, you can still have the old ways, come in. And
Yeah,
that
they
around
nibble at you.
holidays is really hard, and stressful times is really hard. But the more you automate your healthy habits in the good times, the more likely you'll be able to maintain them, especially with awareness during the most stressful times. And
Right.
really, that's the key. We don't want to yo-yo. We don't want to go up and down, up and down, up and down with
I know.
our health or
That's
with our weight.
exhausting.
We don't. And
Yeah.
that's the way we live as females often. And it's just too much.
Yeah.
There is another way. And that's what I'm interested in working with people around, that other way.
Well, thank you. I mean, this is congratulations on your book, Healthy and Fit at
Thank you.
Any Age.
.com. That's how you can get it, with a special free bonus, healthyandfitatanyaage.com. It'll
.com.
take you to a special
Okay.
site where you get a free bonus, and I would appreciate it.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
I know
Okay. And
you
of
will.
course, yes, of course, in the show notes, we will have, all of your information and your
Great,
book.
Kelly. Thank you.
Okay. And you can also, y'all will also be able to pick up a little gift from Mimi on her website. So make sure
You're
you
going to
go
like
there.
it. You're going to like it
Yep.
a lot.
Absolutely.
And they can also reach out to me. If anybody wants to reach out to me, it's super easy. And if you order the book, or even, you can just go to Mimi at mimisecor.com. That's my email. Or you can just go to my website, mimisecor.com. Either way, reach out, and I'm more than happy to help you any way I can.
Oh,
Yep.
thank you. And that's what makes it so much fun to have people like you on the show. I mean, just people who give, and I really
My
appreciate it.
thing, that's what I'm into.
Thank you.
I mean, I was given an incredible gift from my daughter, and I'm just very indebted to her. And I feel like I want others to realize that there's another way to live your life, with more joy, more health, more ability to help other people without feeling that anger, resentment, frustration, and just that horrible feeling, even being embarrassed to look in the mirror.
Right.
No, there's another way. And so I'm into that path.
Well, you are definitely walking your walk and living your talk. So thank you again so much for being here. I
Thank
truly
you,
appreciate it.
Kelly, and good luck with your programs. I think that what you're doing is fantastically wonderful and very inspiring and very parallel.
Yes. We will see you again here, and thank you
I
again.
can't wait.